welcome to What's in My Drawers Golf Talk, talking about my Myrtle Beach trip and a couple of trinkets that we discovered while we're out there. So let's talk some golf. Well, that's called hitting the wrong button. And I got to make sure all the I'm looking at my settings. Everything looks good now. Audio, you can change your default output device, operating systems, yada, yada, yada. We got that. Okay. Welcome back to the golf shop. Jim McCleary here, and this is What's in My Drawers Golf Talk. Why What's in My Drawers? Because old club makers and club fitters are tremendous pack rats, and I'm no different. It's about what's in my shop, the drawers in my shop. And we're talking about golf club equipment, repairs, fittings. And in this particular episode, we're going to be talking about actual golf at Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach, right? So, yeah, this is going to be a good time. So a couple of things. When we came back, we got a few builds in from Saturday and Sunday because we got back Friday afternoon. It was probably the most uneventful ride in 8 hours and 45 minutes that we've ever had. And good ride. And got back and got unpacked and started working. And yes, the next day. And I got a set of Mizuno Pros with iSeries 8s in them and some Golf Pride MCC4 Pluses in, waiting on a golfer. And we're also, we did some wedges for a golfer out in Maryland and did a couple of tip switches. So now all I got left is, as I was cleaning out the car, we had a broken club, actually 2 broken clubs go up. So that's all I have left to go for at least getting started. Not bad for being off for the week. All righty. So we went down to Myrtle Beach, and Bob and Penny went with us, my buddy Bob and her buddy Penny. Went down to Myrtle Beach. We go down there. I don't know. We've been down there quite a few times here as of late, and it's a good trip. The ladies get to be by the beach and the pool and the sun, and Bob and I get to go golf and then catch up. Now, I will say the weather down there was the first couple of days was really nice. It was about as perfect as you wanted to get. It was in the high 60s, low 70s, and finished in the 80s. It was just really nice. And then some front came through, and the last 3 days would start in the 80s and end into the high 90s with humidity corrections up to 105 degrees. Now, that's normally not so bad, except for I'm not much of a hot weather guy, but this is what it was. And the first day went through it, and you just come back and all your clothes are soaked, and because it's got a high humidity there, and you're just like, oh my gosh. And the first day I was wore plumb out. I was like, what is going on? Well, I needed to hydrate a little bit more, and I stayed in the cool a little bit longer. Next day, the same thing, except for this time I drank a whole bunch of Gatorade. I think I put down about a gallon each day, it felt like. And that day we jumped into the pool after a bit, and I felt like I had these bugs crawling all over me. I was kind of itchy, and I looked down, I had spots everywhere, and it was like I got into some chiggers. And turns out it was heat rash, and you guys in the safety community, that's the beginning of the heat stress. And so stayed in the room, got a cold shower, kind of went away. So here comes the third day. They all pop right back. And this time I discovered ice in a cup with Gatorade and cooling the inside of my body temperature down, and not too bad. So that's a safety point of view for you guys. If you get out there into the heat, and you guys aren't really heat related, a little bit of cup of ice with some water in it, or Gatorade or something of that nature will certainly help you out and keep you safe. So if you can't get out of the sun, that's really where you want to go. Okay, so the very first day we went, the idea is that we wanted to see Mayberry. Okay, for those guys not old enough to know that Mayberry with Andy Griffith and Ron Howard, that Mayberry, a place actually exists. Looks like this. There it is. Hey, from Mayberry. It's in Mountain Airy, North Carolina. Okay, and what you walk into is there's about a city block that is dedicated to this, and you get to see that the bronze statues of Andy and Opie getting ready to do their traditional walk at the opening. And Mount Airy by its lonesome is not that big of a town. It's got the main street might be a couple blocks long, and it's full of small little shops, and from antiques to boutiques to bakeries and whatnot, and very, very, very quaint. You get there, and here's where you get to see the statue, and they got an Andy Griffith Museum. Apparently, Andy Griffith was quite the accomplished actor. Had no idea, but here's a picture of the inside, and that's the desk that Andy would sit at, and then of course in the background you get to see Barney, and that was a rolling movie. Just happened to catch it at the right time, and that's all the stuff that he used while they were doing the Mayberry. And then there lots of information. Turns out he put out they had 33 and a third records. Well, he put out there was one bigger, and it was an audio, basically their version of an audio book, and you would play it on there. It was kind of neat. The man did a lot of stuff. All right, last couple bits is we get into downtown, and you get to see some painting on the outside, and one of the more known as the Snappy Lunch area, home of the pork chop sandwich, and then the Mayberry Courthouse. So it was a good time. It was we got in the morning, saw it, and then once we saw everything we wanted to see, we jumped in the car and made it to Myrtle Beach, and got checked in, and it was pretty uneventful, which is a good thing. So there we go. So we played at, so I'll just give you the courses. The first day was Shaftsbury Glen, right there. Neat little course. All right. If any of you guys ever been to Myrtle Beach, they come in tiers, right? There's like the TPC, Myrtle Beach National, plantation courses, that kind of, like this Caledonia and those places. Cost a little bit more. They're a little more upscale, I would say. Sometimes, sometimes in the plantation course, it's a little more open, a little less tree line, and sometimes they're very, very tree line and very, could be narrow, could be inviting, so to speak. Shaftsbury Glen and all these other courses we're talking about, I would say would be high second tier courses. And so when you walk in, big clubhouse with that in the middle of it, very nice place when you walk in, and this is what you're looking at. And this place that's the reason why I say upper second tier, lower bottom tier. And let's see if we got a few more in here. You get to see that, and then that's what it just looks like a little closer. And as you notice, there's a lot of, we'll say, taller grasses, heather, and these are wetlands. There's a lot of wetlands, and a lot of, when you see they're environmentally protected, so you really don't want to go into them. And then you hear one where we're on the pond. On the far side is another hole. We were standing on the tee box of another one as we were looking behind us. Just thought that was a really cool picture. And some more of the same. And what we did is we ended up getting out very early, so the dew was still out there on the green. And you can see this was a par 3, 100 and I think I remember this one in particularly, 160-yard par 3 that I absolutely choked. Absolutely choked that booger, but it was a good course. I like that one. It was it's a good starting course. We really enjoyed it. and that's where it ends up getting to. I think we go a little bit further. Yep. That one's just more of the same as that one, just closer. And then we get into, we're following the same clan. But the thing that got me, if you look over here at the water, and a lot of the places around the water, if you get around the water, around here, that doesn't happen. Where the grass just grows right into the water. And where we're at, you have to have an edge, otherwise it creates a bunch of weeds. And in every place that we're at, the grass went straight into the water. And it was just kind of unique to see that. It was a neat little landscaping kind of thing. There's more of the same. As you can tell, the fairways are pretty wide. There's not a lot of trees, not a lot of trees in the way. There's a nice course, and the greens weren't extraordinarily fast. I would say they were average, and they were holding shots, and you could spin them if you needed to. And the front, what we got warned is the front of a lot of the greens would be wet, and they would plunk, and it would bury a ball. And that did happen a couple of times, not all the times, but a couple. But I truly liked that one. And so I ended up with Shaftsbury Glen hat clip. Nice little hat clip. That worked out pretty good. And so we did that. So that night, we met with Peter, right? We met with Peter. Peter Crosidio, he's a guy that gets on here and listens a lot. He went to a restaurant that I highly recommend, the Sea Captain Restaurant. Now, the Sea Captain Restaurant started out as we'll call it a boarding home, like a place you could stay over the night. It was in the 20s. And as things progressed and the building started getting bigger, they changed lanes and became a restaurant. And obviously, being the Sea Captain, they obviously did really well with seafood, and they do. And I guess they have a really fine steak. I never got to that point. But they did have a bowl of jambalaya, and I'm here to tell you it was worth every bit of it. Peter was very gracious, met his wife Anna. They were both very nice folks, and it was just a really nice place. I recommend it highly if you get a chance. So here we go. Here's a 1 in a million shot. There we go. Me, Peter, Anna, and Mrs. McGolf. Okay. Then what we got was you got to see the sun setting, and that was kind of cool. On to the next one, Grand Dunes. Grand Dunes, if I get my paper out here because I kept them all. Grand Dunes is I played the white tees for the most part. It was 62-77. And that was where we were playing from. And Bob ended up smoking me on that one. He went 39-37, just absolutely had a great day there. I, on the other hand, had basically opposite of a great day and went 45-41 for an 86. But I had 1, 2, 3, 4 3 putts, but I also had 2 1 putts. No, I had 5 3 putts in there, and that was my downfall right there for a lot of that. But the Grand Dunes is a very nice golf club, and it's has a very very good reputation. It was very well taken care of, and we ended up liking it quite a bit. So let's go back and see some of that. All right, we saw that, and then there's Peter and I again, and there's some more of it. And as you can tell, when you go down there, you're on the seaside, so just every single hole is protected by this enormous amount of bunkering going on. Just crazy amounts of bunkers there. And if you had a day like I did, you would find yourself in them quite a bit. And if you don't practice the sand, it can be quite treacherous. But if you do, it's not bad. Now here's this one I really like. There's a par 3 on the back 9 and about 150 away. And I was the furthest one away, obviously, when I hit this thing, but I was just so happy I made good contact, it didn't matter. But this is the kind of views that you see when you go out there. Very nice, well-maintained. Where you see all the extra large foliage here, or the tall grass, is actually a dip, and if it went in there, it was lost forever. So you actually had to clear that. That was an important part of that particular course. All right, so there was that one. Now we also played Pine Lake. Pine Lake is the old one. But that was one I don't think I took too many pictures because I was just having a really good time playing. Although, as it turns out, I didn't score very well. But we'll keep going. We'll see if it doesn't show back up. So our next one is called Arrowhead. Okay. Now Arrowhead gets a lot of, I think it gets a lot of play because from the locals. They must have a good price for the locals. Now it has 3 nines. And we played what they call the Lakes and Cypress. And it was funny because every time somebody said, "Hey, you're playing the Lakes and Cypress," and they went the Lakes, and everyone went, well, as I found out, I figured out why. But overall, I mean, I shot a 46 on the front with taking a 9 and a 6. So if not that, Bob did real good shooting a 40. And we got onto the back, and he ended up with an 82, and I ended up with a 92. Oh no, I ended up with a 90. So, and putting that together, so I went 44, 41. Not too bad, but it was well maintained. But this was the one course. This was the one course that when you got off of the fairway, had what I would call regular grass. It was the kind of grass you would see up here, where in all the other places, it was you would get off the fairway and it would be just thicker version of the same. So it was really kind of weird getting out of it. It was thick bladed grass, and this is one of those courses that local knowledge would probably save you about 4 strokes around, because of knowing where to place it and seeing it, because there was a couple of blind shots, and it's just what it is. All righty, so let's see where we can go from there. Let's see. There we go. Nope, that isn't it. Let's see. There. We're going through all these things. That's more of the same. This is still. There we go. This is Arrowhead's driving range, just to kind of give you the idea of the setup that we were in. It was a short range, but man, oh man, was it nice. I liked it a lot. And then we started taking off, and this is the kind of stuff you would see. I mean, it's in nice shape. Just a lot of twists and turns, and you had to get up into some of them. And there we go. We're getting down, and there's the sun setting for that day. Didn't take two. There were some days I was just focused on golfing, and some days I was focusing on taking pictures. The next one. So what we also did was, so on this one, the next day was It says Glendernick, and what it really is Glendernick. All right, much like Glenfiddich, this is Glendernick. All right, and it's funny. It's a neat. I always accuse them. It's a neat logo. The crown and the lion holding the flag. But then there's this Indianapolis Colts thing up there. I'm not sure if that's a throwback or if they meant to do that or not. Anyway, this one, I forgot to tell you. We told you about Grand Dunes. Arrowhead ended up being, from the whites, 31 and some change, 62, about 62.40. So 62.40 for that one. Glendernick, which I really like this one as well, ended up only being 6,035. Now in Glendernick, a lot of what you saw there wasn't very long, but there's a lot of dog legging going on, and so you had to. It was shot placement, and they tell you that when you get there, and just to keep going. I got my Arrowhead tchotchke. That's Arrowhead, and then I thought this one was neater. I got a Grand Dune. Now you can't see it very well. Grand Dune ball marker. And then I haven't taken it out of the package yet, but that's Glendernick's hat clip. All right. So in this particular one, a lot going on in this golf course on this one. A lot of trees, very, very mature. And they called it the Glendernick Waterway Links. Now, the reason why it was all that is because it sits on an inlet that goes, out to the ocean. And the links part of it, I think, was a little bit overstated because it was massively tree lined, which you'll see here in a minute. But the greens held, and we played with 2 transplants from New York City that were down in the northern end of the Carolinas. And it was a lot of fun playing with those guys. One guy was actually in Pinehurst, moved to Pinehurst. So there's, Glendernick. And if you notice the trees, there's a lot of that going on. There's one of our friends, and you see again, there's they had just cut down. If we gotten there a day earlier, this would all look like a big green fence where this darker area is at. They had just cut it down. And there's more of what it looked like. And that was a protected area. And so you had to be able to clear some areas, right? But you can just get the gist. Tons and tons of woods. And there, of course, on some of them, you're cart path only for the par 3s and whatnot. On this particular one, we went 82, 86 on this one. And my putting was pretty doggone good. Only 1 3-putt, but several 1-putts. Now, I will say, in almost every one of these, my 60-degree wedge was a true weapon. And I was tight as a drum with that thing. It was I was really happy when normally I don't use it, but it came in mighty handy down there. Now, Bob, on the other hand, his driver was just like shooting stuff out of a cannon. It was crazy. He was so long off the tee. Now he was playing some of the forward tees, but still kicking he was hitting it so far. And his putting, he got it. I kept telling everybody we were playing with, outside 40 foot, you got to watch out for this guy. And it'd take him about 2 or 3 holes, and all of a sudden he's lighting it up, and they're like, man, oh man, you're not kidding. I'm like, no, I'm not. And so it was pretty cool. When you saw the picture of Peter, another one, Kevin, was on there playing with us. He's from Delaware, and good guy. It was fun to watch. We actually played with him at Tidewater, and he's actually coming here for a fitting in a couple of weeks. So that was really nice. So before we go on to the next one, Pine Lakes, they used to call it Granddaddy. Pine Lakes, the oldest golf course down there. Now, I really like that one just because of its history. I guess what they've done is they've added a bunch of houses. It used to be a little more secluded, so it's a little bit more, there's more residential areas in there than there normally was. Now, in this one, I bought a pin flag from there, so I didn't get a hat clip. But in this one, I went 45, 44, and 2-putted and 1-putted just about everything I was looking at. I just couldn't get to the green, and I don't know what that was all about. And Bob went 44, but came alive on a back shot of 37, just cleaned house. And again, we were playing with another fella that came down here. His father had just passed away a couple of weeks earlier. And so we got to listen to about all the stories about his father playing with him at that particular course. It was very, very cool, by the way. But as far as, I always avoided Pine Lakes, the Granddaddy, because I always, everybody's like, it's sort of this, it's sort of that. I'm here to tell you, it's in great shape. And it's all in front of you. There's hardly any trickery on it. There's one left-handed dog leg, maybe 2, and that's it. The rest of it's in front of you, and you can attack it or play it as you wish. And certainly I would recommend that one. All righty, so we talked about the Sea Captain. The next one, just before this last round, we went into another restaurant, which I super highly recommend, and it was a favorite of both Bob and I, was a place called Chuck's. And Chuck's is a steakhouse. So for all you steak lovers out there, this is the place to go, and it's no messing around. I ended up getting a reservation from there because every time we went by there, the parking lot was full, and so I didn't want to mess with that. So we opened up at 4. We went there at 4 and had a wonderful meal. A salad that you can go make yourself, hot rolls, appetizers if you so choose, and the steaks were awesome. However, I made one tactical error. I asked for a Long Island iced tea. And the guy goes, "Hey, you want it in a Pilsner glass?" And I'm like, "Sure, Pilsner glass." Now I'm thinking Pilsner glass, one with a little bulb on the top and it comes down like you're getting a pint of Guinness or something along that lines. And he goes, "Yeah, it's 32 ounce." It didn't even register. And I'm thinking, no problem. And out walks this, is that thing. Well, I'm like, what is that? And that's a Long Island iced tea in 32 ounce and basically in a fishbowl with a stick on the bottom. And man, oh man, getting through that was a bit of a challenge, but we did it. Now, if you look in the back, you can see some rolls on some plates and things like that because we had already eaten. But I'm here to tell you it was well worth the effort, well worth the meal, well worth the price. Same thing with the Sea Captain. If you want some quality food, either one of those, you can't go wrong. All right, so if you wanted seafood one way, if you wanted a really good steak, because I had prime rib, we had sirloins, we had ribeye, and everybody liked it. So there we go. All right, last one, Tidewater. Now, Tidewater was probably one of the nicest golf courses we were on that I absolutely did not like. And normally that's because you shoot a score, and it was the last. So it was the last one, and the heat's on me, and I'm not digging on it. And I am trying my best to keep a positive outlook on this thing. And what happens on every instance is, I went 46 on the front, and honestly, at 46, and what happened was, pardon me, I actually was playing decent bogey golf till the very last hole, and I shot a triple, and otherwise it'd have been closer to a 43. Yeah, because it wasn't all bogey. I part a few in there, but and I shot a 46. That's just horrendous. And then on the back, the heat's on me again, and I ended up parring 2 holes, but I went 7, 7, 5, and 6 on the last 4. Actually, I went 6, 5, 7, 7, 5, 6, and it was an absolutely horrible round. And I'd lost my cool because, well, I'd lost my cool and shot a 49. But I will say it was very, very picturesque. And this was on I believe, the second hole. And what I was trying to do is get golf course is green and flat and got sand and greens in it. But there's a lot you can see. You can see out there in the water, almost plantation-like. And then you get this one. This was a par 3. This one was crazy. If you look, there's literally no green to land it on short. So you either had to be on or you were going to pay the price. Luckily, I think we were all pretty much on that hole. And but that's the kind of stuff that we were running into here. And that's the reason why it plays a little more difficult than most. Again, this is shots off of the back of the tee. And here's one going down the fairway, obviously. And you can see it's in very good shape. And it doesn't give you that idea that, oh, by the way, it's really, really closed. It's just what it is. What it is that, you got a few trees on the right, and that's to help to protect the apartment complex that was over there, or the condos that was over there. Then the open, it gives you this, oh, look at over in the left. It's nice and open. Yeah, that's until you get to the very edge, and then you're in the junk, and you can't go get it because you're into the swamp. So it can be very, very very deceiving. And here's some more of just, this was a panoramic shot of all, that's very far away, but there's a lot of community out there. There's a better one. A lot of community out there. And then we get back to this one. This one I thought was kind of an interesting hole. It was a par 4 that you had to, I don't know, you had to have 250 in the bag carry in order for it to be dangerous. And so we didn't have any worries about that the way we were hitting. But we all ended it down at the bottom. And the thing that really caught my attention was, as you got closer, as you got down there to that stick that you see there, that was about a 150-yard shot. And then you see all these sand traps that are up there by the green, but they're in the back of the green, not in the front, which was really kind of odd. So you had all this room in the front to get up into the green, but not, it protected the back. I've never saw anything like that before. And so it was certainly a challenge for me. And I think I was just getting hot and I was just getting bothered by it. And of course, when you get in a bad mental state, it doesn't matter what you do, it's all bad, even if it's good. And that's what it was. So I went through and I did some stats. I only had 2 birdies the whole sets of rounds. I had about almost twice as many bogeys as I did pars, and I had was it 15, 18, 19 doubles or better. That I put in the or better category because I didn't want to keep counting. The average length went 62.40, 6,035, 63.23, 63.05, 62.77. We had long and short. So what I want to do is the long and short of one course was 536 on a par 5 and 116 on a par 3. The other one was 506 and 124, 529 and 145, 142 and 482 and 146, 512 and 137. I had my biggest thing is I wanted to check my putting because this was the final week of me testing the lab putter, the Mez Max, and I had 11 one putts, which I thought was pretty decent, and I had 13 three putts and 1 4 putt. And when I 4 putted, I was just losing my mind. I don't even know what happened there. And the rest were 2 putts, which was 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, almost 72 putts. So, yeah, overall, I thought it was pretty good. Right? I thought it was pretty good. So, and again, depending on the way that you like to play, right? That's all what you're going to. I would highly recommend Shaftsbury. I would highly recommend the Glendernick. I like as a couple of my favorites. Grand Dunes was another nice one for sure. The Pine Lakes is a nice one, and then you have Tidewater. So that's where it's at. And none of them were overly expensive, I would say. I think what we paid for was a very, very fair price. We got to play with some really good people across all of the shots, meeting different people with different backgrounds. It was always a treat. And it was always a lot of fun. That was the cool part about it. And all the courses were in great shape. It's just a matter of some layouts fit other layouts, right? Or that fit your eye. So and so certainly if you're looking for a place to go golf in a place that is geared for that, Myrtle Beach is certainly that place. As there used to be 200 plus golf courses. I don't know how many are there now, but certainly you can find what it is you're there. And the food out there was fantastic. In fact, one day we got to a point where we couldn't go out. You know what I mean? Hold on a minute. You know what I mean? So we ordered in some calzones, and they were delicious as well. So it was all good. And I would say I'd recommend it to anybody that, that doesn't have access to that kind of stuff. As a final note, in all those really scores, I was playing very, very defensive for some reason. Went to a local course here that I haven't been to in several years, Portsmouth Elks, and I shot an 80. Who knows, right? And I had almost as many one putts in this round as I did the 5 or 6 rounds there. It was nutty. And Bobby's like, where was that golf game at when we were out there playing? I was like, who knows, dude. And but Bob golfed very, very well, very, very spectacularly. And we ended up with some good tchotchkes, got a good pan flag. And now I'm not being sponsored, not doing anything. But thanks to Peter, we saw a really cool idea that he turned us on to, and it's called the Glove Buddy. And if you play in very hot climates, this guy is for you. I know it looks like a skeleton for a shuttlecock, but what this does is that this comes off, and this goes around the post of your the post of your golf cart, and you set it like this, where this is the front where you're driving, and the air goes like this. And then what you do is you put the glove over top of there. And normally I have a glove, but today I do not. Anyway, put the glove over here, and then you use the Velcro. And as you're going, the air flies through there, and it dry. The glove's doing like this and drying off. Neat idea. We're going to put it to the test. And I just got it in today. Amazon's got everything, man. If you wanted to see more of how it looked like, there it is. I know it's hard to see with the glare, but the Glove Buddy. And they were nice enough to include a koozie. So there it is. We're going to give it a try. Bob and I both got one because we were so impressed with it. And that's what it is. So again, Myrtle Beach, and it just depends on where you like staying. We stayed on the water. It was called Beach Cove Resorts, I believe. Several stories high, several pools to choose from. They had a little tiki hut, so if you didn't want to go anywhere to, just want to go up and buy something to drink from an adult beverage point of view, there was plenty of that. You could walk out on the beach. Very nice location. When we got out, when you drive all the way out, you drive out and you're out to the Barefoot Landing complex, which has several restaurants of its own kind if you just wanted to go really, not have to go very far. And we were at such a spot that we weren't more than 20 to 25 minutes from anything as far as our golf went. And so it was really, really nice. So again, I recommend it highly. All right. So now that we got all done with that, I'd like and subscribe, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, tell your buddies, tell your friends, and let's get to answering some questions. All righty, here we go to the top. Oh, didn't get all the way up there. Okay. Manuel's on there. Hello, Jim Rob, the rest of the Mary McGarry heads. There you go. 36 on the front, 44 in the back. It was a good day. I would say it was. Good job, sir. Well done. All right. If my driver shaft has a 3-inch parallel tip and a hosel bore depth of 1.5 inches, then the most I could tip it is a 1/2 inch. Does tipping 1/2 inch make a difference, or just leave it? Well, in reality, Emmanuel, you could probably get away with maybe 1 inch max. I wouldn't go all the way to the bottom of it, but it depends on what you're looking for, sir. Can you tip it? Yes. Will it play a little more stiffer? Yes. Is it going to be a huge amount of difference? If you're playing to a low handicap and you've got a lot of feel, chances are, yeah, you probably see it. If you're golfing, consider yourself an average golfer, you may not notice it. What you'll see is a slight drop in spin and a slight drop in height, but I mean ever so slightly. So if that's what you're looking for, then yeah. Okay. Michael Moody, thank you for joining us, sir. Just bought a TM Stealth 2 HD, equipped with a speeder 50R. My swing speed is around 90. Is there a better quality shaft around like the Venice or Acra that you would like to see difference for a 60? Well, since I'm a 60-year-old now too, bud. So Michael, let's start with this. If you're a smoother swinger and you're around 90, you're right at the base of what a lot of the golf shafts would consider the stiff range. Personally, I don't. I would say it's more in the R-flex range. So if you're a smoother swinger, the speeder, most speeders in general, Fuji speeders, are stiffer than advertised. Okay, stiffer than advertised, and that's just their nature. Okay, so what we'd be looking for is something a little softer, and the Ventus is probably something in that range that's a little softer, and I would still stay in the R-Flex. And if you liked something a little heavier, get with a 60 gram, right? Go with a 60 gram and you'd be right there. If you're looking for something in that really quality kind of space from an Acra point of view, you could literally go with the Acra FX 3.0 series in the blue, and that's the the green, and that is the medium ball flight. If you want a little bit higher, blue, a little bit lower, red. Now, when you do these, what will happen is the blue would probably be there. The red, your options are very limited because it's made for the very strong golfer. And then if you're looking for something a little more exotic, then they have a TZ line. And the TZ line I believe they now have a TZ6, might do you in the R Flex as well. Now, if you get into these other ones, now the other part you might want to look at, Michael, is if you're having a bit of an issue with control, also is you might want to just choke down. Choke down about a half of an inch to give it a few swats, and choke down another half of an inch and give it a few swats and see what happens from there. All right. Hello, all 22 years, never forget, never forgive. Sir, I should have started that one out with that one. Yes, this is the anniversary for 9/11, and we celebrated it. Well, we remembered it at work, and yes, I agree. Keep if you have any relatives, please take a moment of silence and say and let them all know you're thinking. All righty, here we go. There's Scotty. Scotty's going to be here in a few weeks. 75. Man, looky here. Man, oh man, oh man. Look at you go. And you're wanting a fitting? Holy cow, okay. Okay, typical driver fitting. So what we do is obviously we have you fill out the form so we can figure out, if you have any issues, and I don't, when I'm medically or physically is probably the best way to say it. And it also talks about your likes and dislikes and what you want to do with your club and what you don't want to do with your club. And then we take that and we measure your current driver, which I don't think you'll be bringing, but measure your current driver to see if maybe it's the cause of your issues. Then when we come in here where I'm standing, this is the back wall, the other wall is where the shafts are. And what we'll do is we'll test you for length. And we go down to 43.5. And it's the same shaft, same grip, same flex, same everything, just different lengths, and we screw it in the same head. And what we're doing there is, we're trying to find consistency, right? Trying to find consistency, and what we do is we put impact tape on the face and let you hit 3 balls, and what we're looking for is the tightest pattern that you can make on the face. And it's regardless of location. Now, obviously, in the middle is the best, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. Then while that's going on, we're watching your takeaway, your transition, and your release so that we can get an idea of a proper profile in the shaft. And then once we see some of that enough times after, 9-10 swings, then what we do is we use the machine, the launch monitor, to tell us your swing speed, where it's all flying, and how to max that out. 99 times out of 100, it's hit it higher, spin it less. And we say, okay, with the club that I've given you, what it is we need to do. Because I have 9 degrees, 10 degrees, 13-degree clubs. What is it we need to do? And then so with the combination of knowing the profiles we want, kind of what you're telling me while you're swinging with the weights that you want, and then with what we see on this and this, then that takes us to a head and a shaft combination. And it's an educated estimation of what we want you to do. And then but for you'll probably end up choking down quite a bit, obviously, because I have standard length clubs, and we'll see where it goes from there. And then we'll see, okay, is this what you liked? Well, yes, no. And then we start modifying from there. Was it the right head? Maybe not. And sometimes it's not. And then maybe it's not quite the shaft we want. And then we start modifying it so that you get the look and I get the performance. And then after it's all said and done, we'll hit a handful of golf balls, or if I see what you're hitting and I see significantly different results, then we can recommend a golf ball for you. That's about it. All righty. Charlie, honor those perished in 9/11. Yes, and to the first responders. Since I'm in emergency services now, that certainly is a little closer, near and dear to the heart right now. All righty. PZ, you're the shaft man. What change could I expect from going from a graphite design Tour ADDI to an Acra Tour Z CB as far as trajectory, spin and feel? Ooh, that's a tough one, PZ. Now, okay, so let's get through this one. When we talk about shafts that are counterbalanced, okay, when we say they're counterbalanced, it doesn't mean there's like this significant weight in the butt and not in the tip. What's literally happening is that we're moving the balance point more towards the butt, and we're not talking like this far. We're talking about this far, okay, and it gives it now. Does it give it a lighter feel? Yeah. It gives it a lighter feel. And normally when they do that, it's a little, we'll say a little stiffer in the butt section than the other one. So the Tour Z CB was one of my favorites, actually. I like that one, but I'm not an aggressive swinger. And when I like it setting, I like the lighter club feel. I'm not one of those guys where you put a lot of weight here that I notice it here, I notice it out there. I'm a little different in that aspect. Now but as far as that goes, the Tour ADDI is really nice, right? It is a very, very nice club. It's probably one of their more popular ones to be exact. I would think that with the Tour ZCB, that you might see it maybe just a little higher trajectory, and probably I'm going to say maybe just a little higher spin too. And the feel will be really nice, particularly if you like it back in here. But that's a heck of a choices between. If you have the choice between the two, you're not losing out either way, man. John Cherry, how's Myrtle Beach? Well, you heard me talking about it, so that was a good one. I really did enjoy it, and I saw where you were at. That was very cool that you can be down there. And we try every year. We don't get every year, but we try. Aren't they, Charlie? Those were actually awesome rounds. And hello to you, sir. You're getting there, buddy. You're getting there. Brendan, what do you say, sir? He ordered his Toulon San Diego with H5 neck, short slant from a custom shop and got a message to say it was a week later. Are these, see, these now will not be available. Gutted. Heard new models in the pipeline. Yeah, I'm sure there are. There's a new Indianapolis that's coming out. That's it's not nearly as winged as the original model. It's a little more spiderish, I will say, and it looks nice. Very kind of cool, by the way. So we can go from there. The other part is, and there's nice. Yep. So I don't know if I talked about this last week, but Mizuno came to call, show us what's coming on, and the Mizuno Pro stuff is getting changed out. So instead of 223, 225, 221, it'll be 241, 243, 245, and the blade obviously is a blade, slight tweak, a little shorter. The 223 is again in the same area, a little snazzier is the best way to say it, and the 225 again, it's starting to get a little bit more compact, but still the hollow body, but for lefties now. So all you lefties out there, one's coming. And again, for you lefties, I just got a shipment in. I've got I got the hot metal forged, hot metal pros, and just the regular hot metal in 5 through the gap. So if any guys are left-handed guys looking for some of that, we actually just got some, which getting some out of them, getting them from Mizuno is a pretty tight call. So there you are. Terry Lockwood, hello there, sir. How are you? Travis K from Jersey. Will there be a video on the Apex irons? There will if they ever send them to me. They had initial issues with them, apparently. They didn't sound very good. And I'm not sure what that's all about. So we're waiting on a new shipment. I haven't even unlocked it. All I have is shafts now. So yeah. There's Peter. Hello from Myrtle Beach. It was great to meet and play with Jim and the log putting machine Bob. I'm telling you, he was right there, wasn't he? Bob went to San Diego for the submarine veterans golf outing, Charlie. You might want to get a little information from him. You might like that. It sounded like it was a good time. There we go. Kevin Jones, what do you say, sir? Where did you play? Where did you play at there? Well, again, we played at Shaftsbury Glen. We played at the Granddaddy Pine Lake. We played at Glendernick. We played at Grand Dunes, and we played at Tidewater. And we played at Arrowhead. Great to have you back. Well, thank you, Mr. Michael. Yes, never forget. John Cherry, lab putters. Do the different shaft offerings make a big difference with the putter? Oh, the thing, I'm kind of tied between what I know in my head and what I've seen happen. So now this one's going to take a little longer, John. So putter shafts, zero torque putter shafts have become, or very tight putter shafts, and some very heavy putter shaft have become a real thing. If you notice those taller shafts that you're seeing on tour, I found out I can actually touch those. Those are 160 plus gram shafts. That's very heavy. When they're very heavy, there's very little movement like this in there because there's a bunch of metal there. So it gets to be low torque. Okay. I have no idea what they cost yet because I just found out about them. Now, with that, in typical clubs that are heel mounted or even center shafted mounted clubs that want to face balance, there's some level of rotation there. And these zero torque shafts make a huge difference in those things. As long putting Bob, just like Peter was talking about, we put a BGT in that shaft, in that Makefield of his, and it's a weapon, right? And if I was to show you with, I've got a Makefield that's got a steel shaft, the standard putter steel shaft, and a BGT, and the Makefield head is awesome. Okay, don't get me wrong. But the putter shaft, after you've putted with the one, you go to the BGT, it's like the standard shaft is flopping like a fish. And it's really odd. And I put one in mine, and the thing putts, and I carry both of them in the bag just in case one decides not to play well. And in those rounds at Myrtle Beach, I had to pull it out, and it was mostly because there was a lot of aeration. It still hadn't recovered. And so I was using it for 9 holes, giving the lab putter a rest. Now, that being said, lab putters are balanced so that they balance like this. They don't balance face open. They don't dangle. It's like that, right? It's a zero. It's straight up and down. So in theory, if it's straight up and down and there's no torque in this, there's no wanting to flop like that fish, you would think that you would not need a heavy duty shaft in order for this putter to perform. And there it was. Now, I ended up going with the Acra shaft, which was another lower torque club or lower torque shaft. It wasn't super low torque, but it was lower torque, and graphite, mostly from a weight perspective. And I got it because it was an option that I could get. And I wanted to try it out because I'm an Acra guy and I like it. All right. So Can it make a difference? I would say certainly so. From a theory perspective, I would say it shouldn't matter at that particular point. At that point, what you're talking about is weight and lie angle and length is where it becomes very, very important. But I mean, if you're looking to truly torque, really tighten up your putting game, then yes, those shafts make a difference. Okay. Common Man. Hello, everyone. Glad to be able to make it for this week's show. So are we, bud. All right. What did you eat while in Myrtle Beach? Well, we talked about that one, but it was worth talking about again. Sea Captain. Peter took us to the Sea Captain, and thank you again, Peter. I appreciate it very much. It was well worth it meeting you and Anna, but the food was delicious. And the Sea Captain obviously is a seafood place. Very, very nice. Very well organized. The people there are very, very friendly. And it's funny because it's in the what I would call Myrtle Beach proper to almost the south end, and there's all these big high rises, all these just moderny stuff, and there's actually on the other side of it there's a water park, and the water park might be for the hotel that's next to it, and in the middle of all this sits this old house, tall old house, water park, tall. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's different. And but there it is. And it's good food. Oh my God, good food. I'm all about the jambalaya, but the rest of them were eating like barbecued salmon. There's other stuff that was going on there, and it was really, really good. The other side of that, Charlie, is if you're a steak guy, Chuck's. I thought it was just going to be a joke, and it was not. It was definitely a quality piece of steak, and the whole meal around was very, very well worth it. All right, there's Scotty. Out of focus. You know what it is? It's my doggone, it's my light. I'm trying to see whether or not, here we go. How about some of that? Maybe we get some of that. There we go. Okay. Robin's talking to him. There you go. Dambunga. How you doing, buddy? All is well. We're doing very fine, thank you. Don't forget the ice, and I'm here to tell you, when it's hot like that, wow, it made a huge, huge difference. I mean, your total inside's cooled. When it's at 90, it was 97, 105 with the heat index. And the cart girl come around. I said, and just stumbled onto it. Bob was getting a cup of ice for his Arnold Palmer. And I said, hey, let me try some of that. Let me get a cup of ice too. And I poured the Gatorade in it. I'm here to tell you, it was like getting a shot of adrenaline. It just cooled you down on the inside. And I told the gal, I said, hey, what's the odds that you can increase that rotation instead of 4 or 5 holes to 3 or 4 holes? No, it didn't work out very good. Okay. Pre-hydrating, very helpful. Well, I tried. I mean, I drank a few things beforehand, but it didn't work out very well. I still ended up there. I drank Gatorades, a couple of pops, everything else. Are we already there? All right. Well, we still got to go a little further. All righty. Dave, what's your opinion on crank drivers for slower speeds? Dave, I'm not I know crank makes a nice driver. I don't know if you would get anything extra or less out of a crank driver. They've got to meet a certain core value, so I don't think you would get any less out of it if you like the shape, because I know they have a bit of a different shape on them. Are you going to get more at a lower swing speed? Probably not. Now, I understand that they have one that's a little bit bigger and not necessarily legal. That one, certainly you might get something out of, and that would be worth a look-see. Terry Lockwood, thanks for back. Yeah, I know, man. I got snapped back to reality at 4:30 this morning when I was getting ready for work. Andy Griffith could even play the guitar. You're right, he could. And there was a guitar in the museum, and it was kind of funny. They showed some pictures of them doing plays and whatnot, and it was amazing. Even back in the 30s and 40s, the level of detail in the costumes. It was really, really cool. And there's Robin. Yep. I want to try the Vokey 58 14-degree bounce K grind, which is good for bunkers, but I'm a shallow hitter with a 6-degree wedge. Should I try it anyway? Oh, well, if you're just, it would, common man, it would depend. And that's the answer to most golf questions, by the way. If your bunkers are extraordinarily fluffy, they're thick, or your rough is very thick, you could probably get away with that. Okay. The biggest thing is that in shallow hitting is normally you're coming in at a different angle as opposed to down, maybe a little bit more under, and you might find yourself either one of two things: bouncing into it or getting underneath of it. 14 is a lot, right? It is a lot, and I don't know that in a lot of cases, when everybody tells you bounce is your friend, in a lot of cases they're right. Bounce is your friend. However, if you're a scooper or a what they call them, a slider, 14 might be a little much. A 58-10 or a 58-12 maybe, but 14 is a lot. BZ also got in to check lab putters 5 weeks to get it. Oofta, love the science behind them. Definitely getting the link. Yeah, the link is probably the one that most people gravitate towards because it's a little more familiar looking, i.e., Anzer style, and it doesn't need like the Mez Max or even the Directed Force. They have these grips that will give you 1.5, 2.5, I think 3.5 degrees forward push if you line them up straight. Where this one in the link, you can put on a regular grip because it really doesn't rely on that. And it's an easier look to look at for sure. There we go. Me too. I like getting out in the morning. In fact, we got at 8:30, which was, there's only 2 teams in front of us when we went out to the Elks. In almost every case, Charlie, we were out at about 8:30, 8:20, 8:15, that kind of stuff. In a lot of cases, they asked us if we just want to go by ourselves. And we thought, no, if they want to pair us up, that's fine. And that's what we did. And it's good to meet new people. David Defoe. Feo, sorry. Glad you had a nice trip. Thank you, sir. We did. It was very nice indeed. Ron D'Ambrosio. Hello there, sir. Pine Lakes is known as the granddaddy course of Myrtle Beach. Is the first one there. Yes, it was in the 20s again. And it was called something else. I saw the history on it. It was very, very cool. And the people in there were very, very nice. I was also this was the place. This is the place that in the mornings and the evenings that a guy in a kilt would play bagpipes. And that's kind of a tradition. But apparently the gentleman had passed away. And then at the turn, you would be fed. It was New England. It was clam chowder. Well, that since went away. We heard it was going to be mimosas. Well, we made the turn. I didn't see nothing, but it's still a very, very nice course, regardless of all the other stuff. Peter, you're welcome anytime. No, thank you, sir. It was great. Hello from Northwest Louisiana. Look out. We are on a cool front, 92 degrees today, so no triple dickers. Yeah, dude, I don't know how you guys do it. You must, I get, it's like anything else. I lived in Florida for a while. You just got to get used to it. We're here in Ohio, and it was perfect weather. It was in the 60s, 70s, 60s, 70s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and we went down there in the first couple of days, perfect again, and it got super duper hot. And that's just what it is. Apparently up here it was super duper hot too. So it didn't matter where I was going to be. So I might as well have had fun doing it. Peter killed it. Was 75. Nicely done, sir. Hey, there's Paul. What do you say, sir? September 14th, 2011, Pine Lakes. Hole 2, first hole in 160 yards. Never saw it go in. Though it didn't hold the green, couldn't find the ball. Jokingly went to the hole, and there it was. Nicely done, sir. That was a really nice course. Chuck's is one of the local favorites. There we go. Yes, I played Pine Lakes back in 13. Really loved it with the Blackmore. No, Blackmore we've not played, Michael. That might be something to get in there. Matt, there he is, shot 72. Identify your favorite shot of this year. Oh, I don't know, man. You know, everybody wants to talk about long drives and whatnot, and we've all had plenty of them, I'm sure. For me, what I like doing is I like improving on my weak points. And this year it's all been about putting and it's all been about short game. And yesterday was a culmination of that. The 60 degree was just working. I was just landing it within a foot of the hole. And there was several of those. And then, those are tap in pars. Of course, I'm having to throw it in there because I hit it short, but that one, a lot of my lob wedge work and this putter. There was a couple of rounds playing with Bob that I was actually hitting long ones just about as far as he was. Although Bob did set a new world record. I think he hit one from like 70 feet and dropped the damn thing. It rolled like it had eyes. It was just, it was like, you just look at that and you look at it and you go, well, that's awesome. Damn it. Yeah, it was like it's I've gotten so used to it, but the fellas like Peter and Kevin and those guys, and they see it, they just shake their heads and they're like, "Yep, Jim was telling us the truth. The dude can hit it." And but yeah, it was a lot of fun. That's what Chuck, Charlie, that's what I called it. I called it a bird bath on a stick. That's exactly what I called it. All righty. How did you crawl out? I know, right? And that's what I thought I was going to do. I think they may have lightened it up a little bit on me. But after you got that at the beginning, and then you got to eat your salad, and you got to eat some rolls, and then you got to eat we got a baked potato with it, which was really good, by the way. And that I got some time for it to wear off on me a little bit. But I gave Bob the keys because he's not a drinker. And so we were being very responsible that day. There we go. Look at that. John Lamb, small swimming pool with 2 diving boards. Amazing what they can do with mixed drinks. Yeah, no doubt. Had a paralyzer. You're no kidding, dude. I saw that thing coming in there. I was like, certainly that is not for me. That cannot be for me. And he sets it down in front of me. I just kind of shook my head. I was like, oh no, we are in trouble. There's our traveling companions. Hello, Rick. Pooty, how you doing, bud? First couple of outings with MI. Okay, very cool. John Land, just wondering how you can backweight a grip before you start the bend point and profile of the shaft. Well, so technically, John, this is kind of, this is the difference between science and feel. Technically, the minute you start backweighting, you've affected something, right? Whether it's a gram, 2 grams, or whatever. Now, the real question is, what's the impact, right? When do you see an impact? And that's a lot, and that truly is the real question here. Bend, point, and flex, in reality, you don't, right? The bend, point, and flex just do not change. What you are seeing is that you're just putting more weight in your hands in order for you to swing the club. Now, logic would think that, well, okay, I put more weight here, so it moved back. Truly, on the overall perspective of the club, that happened. But when you go back, we got to kind of break it down. Did you do anything to the shaft? The answer is no. So the bend point and all that stuff did not change. All you did was put a little bit of weight in the back so that you can control it. Hopefully that helps. Charlie, it was an awesome trip, and I'd do it again. In fact, we probably are. Welcome back. Thank you, Jack. Appreciate it, sir. Hello, McField Putter guys. Hello. And we like that. I got it. It's still in there. I'm looking right at it. It's a good club. John, with all the excellent food available in Myrtle Beach, probably a good thing you were exercising on the course to burn it off. That is no kidding. So how it went for us for the most couple of times is we stopped at McDonald's for a biscuit, although Bob did turn me on to Speedway has a pretzel bun, sausage biscuit, and egg. And that was our breakfast. And then we go out to the course and start drinking Gatorades or Pops or Arnold Palmer's or whatever. And then halfway around the course, I'd get a Snicker bar of all things. And that was lunch. And then we'd go eat dinner. And that was basically it. And normally the food was so good, we didn't have a chance to even get dessert. So that was how we got her done. Al Fody thought I was going to hit the links with the break in the heat. Yeah, I'm here to tell you, brother. When we talk about hot, I'm with you. Jerry Smiley, I was recently told that I need a shaft with a lower kick point to get more height from my irons. Is this true? So, Jerry, lower kick points do tend to make the ball go a little bit higher. All right. Is it going to be the cure-all, end-all for a higher flight? No, it's not. It's more about how you're releasing and weight and length and that kind of stuff. But now you could be an early releaser of the club, of which that profile might marry up to you a little bit better. And then in that case, yeah, right. And if you're into steel, lower kick points. Basically, lower kick points mean higher flight, right? So anything you might see in a higher flight shaft. Elevates, Modus, not Modus, Nippon 950s, KBS and the same thing in the Tour 90s, a little higher ball flight type stuff. But it's basically angles of attack and releasing is what really gets that up in the air. But can it help? Yes. Significantly? No. All right. Look at Mrs. McGolf backing me up on that one. Thomas Ron, Rico Sauce Rolling Restaurant checking in. There we go. Glad you're on there, partner. He's a guy who runs Thomas is a guy that runs a food truck, and that I visit while I'm out there when he shows up, and I get out there infrequently at best, but the Rico sauce is really, really good. First couple of outings with the mini driver, and it's a weapon. Now we're talking. Just played 2 rounds off of 6 and 8 days. Played Mizuno pairs comp yesterday. 11th out of 60 pairs. And second in the Pro-Am. You go, man. Good job. I'm glad you're liking it. That's awesome. And the city left me a nasty note for me to trim and cut my hedges backyard. And so now I'm sore another week before I can hit the golf egg. Oh, my goodness. There's my buddy Bob, the long distance putter, as Peter has called him. Second day at home course, and we have a festival week at the club. All right. I'll bring the clubs. Very good, sir. I want to see what you got. John Cherry, for your shaft question, I was skeptical about BGT, impressed with the results. The raw data supports it. There we go. There's Justin. What do you say, sir? Hope you're doing well. Terry Lockwood, John Cherry, replying back to your comment about Pine Lakes. It was the first course ever. Played at Myrtle Beach. It was 18, now 66. 40 courses in the first time there. Bet they're gone now. Well, there has been a lot of changeover, hasn't there, John? You'd be the guy that knows. He works down there as a superintendent. So yeah, he's there's a lot going on down there. Thanks, Jim. We'll have to check out the K grind. Is available in lesser bounce. That'd be cool. Bill Nauman says, like and share. Thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. And if you would like and share, let's get some more of this out of here. Golf swings. Switch to Modus 120S from the S300 in my irons. Enjoying the smoothness mid-weight so far. Biggest surprise was the change in impact feel in a good way. More crisp and muted, but unexpected, but a plus. Well, good. I like the pawn, right? And of course, the S300 will always be the staple for True Temper. And that's because a lot of people play it. It is a proven product for those guys. However, they're not cornering the market like they once were. You know, KBS, Nippon, even Rifle were challenging them for the longest time. And all the replacements are very fine products as well. Have you ever experienced a change in impact feel for the change of shaft before? Absolutely. Didn't know there's such a great thing. From Toronto. Well, thank you, sir. Sure. You know, that's the idea of the reason why the shaft is the transmission and not the engine of the golf club, and why it's so important to have a good one in there that marries up to your swing. So what you're feeling there is probably something that's probably a little bit more married up to the way that you deliver the club to the ball. All righty, casual golf. Brand new, sub to the channel. Well, thank you so very much, sir. Tell your friends. Would you suggest for someone who wants to start their own small club business? Wait a minute. What would you suggest to someone who wants to start their club business? I currently have little knowledge of club repair. Okay, I think you sent me some of this. I've been looking at the Mitchell classes. So, and anything else here, casual, is I'm torn between two things. One, there's a business aspect of this. If you're wanting to actually start a club business, you have to know about business itself. The other side of it is you got to know what you're doing. And in that particular instance, education is the way to go. Education and experience. And the best folks that were in the industry doing it were golf works, in my opinion. And I see that they're not getting too back into it for some reason. That said, the only other group out there doing it, I guess, is Mitchell, and they're out there doing it. It's just in Detroit or in the Detroit area, which makes me think I probably should be getting on that classwork a little bit more. Anyway, those are the things I would start out. Number two is I would also look at what kind of things that you want to offer. Club repair is a wide swath. It could be easy as something as just changing grips. It could be changing grips, changing shafts. It could be changing grips, changing shafts, loft and lies. It could be cosmetic in nature. It could be a lot of things. You have to figure out what it is that you want to provide your folks, your friends, your family, your fellow golfers, whatever, and then go out and challenge them. Now, GolfWorks does have a study at home course. It's not as good as being in person, but it's a very, very close second. The other part, as far as education, there is stuff out there. There's the Clubmaker's Bible that they have. There's the fitting course, which Sean has one or two books that does the very, very same thing. I would get into them and I would start reading and practicing. All righty. 80 courses. I'm a greenskeeper, not the same. Oh, come on, dude. Maintenance department. Okay. You got it. All righty. So we made it to the bottom, guys. I appreciate it. If you ever get to that point where you're looking at going to Myrtle Beach, John's down there, Peter's down there. I'm here to tell you, based on what we saw, I don't think you can land on a bad course. There's just others that are nicer than others that fit your eye, don't fit your eye, depending on what you want to look at. You want a lot of sand, a little bit of sand. You want a lot of trees, a little bit of trees. You want to be out on the water. You want to be where it's a little more open. And that's a little bit more investigation on your part. But what I have found in every instance, that they're all very inviting. They're all very nice. Now, I will say the only golf club that has ever called me to ensure I was coming was Glendernick. They're the only ones. The only ones to ensure I was calling. And they were just wanting to make sure that they didn't have a tee time that wasn't going to get filled. But it was nice to get called, so you can do that. You won't be disappointed by the food. Everything was good. The camaraderie down there with Bob and Penny was great. Meeting Peter was very, very nice, and Anna was very, very nice. So, all in all, I call it a great success of what's going on. Okay. So again, guys, thank you so very much. Thanks you for watching. Hit that like and subscribe. Tell your friends so that we can get this thing going off, getting off of there. And, as always, let's see your scores. Go low.